Bonjour and welcome back to Seaside Garage. Firstly, I am very proud of myself because this is not a Citroën. This is a 1986 Renault 4, but it's not only a Renault 4. This is a genuine Gendarmerie Renault 4. This is a real police car from France from 1986. At least that's what I'm told. The sticker on the door is not genuine. That has been removed and then recreated at some point, at least the Gendarmerie sticker things. But this should be a proper police car from France that was imported to Denmark, I think in the late 90s. I'm going to contact the previous owner to get the full story at some point. But this, I just drove the Citroën Visa out of here. The Citroën Visa, I think, is from 85 or 86. I think it's 85. I'm not completely sure, but you could get it back then. It got 115 horsepower. You could meet this police car in France in the Citroën Visa in the same year. Yeah, of course, the French police would not use this as a pursuit vehicle. This was most likely just for driving around and handing out fines for eating the wrong kind of cheese or something like that. But take a look at it, it's a Renault 4 police car. I was actually contacted by a guy watching Seaside Garage, a good friend of the channel. He had a friend who owned this, and they had decided to gift or donate this car to Seaside Garage. I still need to get the full story of this car, but as far as I know, the guy who imported it to Denmark sold it, then bought it back, and then it ended up in a barn for many years, and then now it's here. I know nothing about this car. I just, of course, accepted it. They showed me a picture of it, and I really, it's a pretty awesome little thing, I think. If you know my channel, you know I'm really much into 2CVs, and I never owned a Renault 4, but I always liked them. In my opinion, they are a little bit like a 2CV Deluxe. Maybe the Diane is more that, but this is the same quirkiness, but just a bit more car-ish than the 2CV in my opinion. So I was really happy to get one of these offered. And a police car even better, because the Danish Postal Service back in the 80s used these Renault 4s. So there's actually a lot, I'm saying a lot, not that many anymore, but there's a lot of orange Renault 4s around in my country. And I'm not saying that it's boring, but this is just way cooler. So, but as mentioned, I know nothing about it. They were nice enough to deliver it to me. So all I have done is I pushed it into the garage, which was a big deal. Not because there's anything wrong with the, most likely there's something wrong with the brakes, but it's not binding and it's easy to push. It's not very heavy. The problem is there's no key. And even though it looks like something from the 60s, this is from 86 and it actually got a steering lock. So it can only point in one direction at the moment. So that's a problem. Someone has already started trying to pry out the old cylinder barrel thingy for the key. So I'm just going to continue that down that road and take that out. That should make it possible to disarm the steering lock, and it would be possible to just hotwire. Yes, I am going to hotwire a police car from France at some point. And then later down the line, hopefully I can get a new key, a new barrel with a key that fits. That is if I can even save it, because as mentioned, I know nothing about it. I don't know how rusty it is. I can see rust, but you never know. This is a bit like 2CV. There is a frame underneath and then this housing on top of it all. So it's going to be another big project, of course. But as always, I am not going to make this like new. I am hopefully going to fix this up by doing as little as possible to the outside of the car, because I think it looks exactly like it is supposed to look, to be fun. So let's take a proper look at this car. I'm not going to start it up today, but let's take a proper look at it. As mentioned, I haven't even been into the car yet because it didn't really... There's no reason to go in there because it's just pointing straight forward. Of course, I looked in and saw that there were no key and the steering lock was locked. But other than that, I have done nothing. So let's just take a look at everything. Yes, can you see that? I think this car is possible to start with a hand crank like the 2CV and my US Buhanga that I had. and also the Lada Niva actually. That's pretty fun, especially for a car from 1986. Just imagine seeing a police car driving down the road in the late 80s with a car that it was possible to hand crank. It's hilarious. I'm not really sure what this is. Got an N and a C that most likely locked and opened. I wonder if it's, it feels like something that could snap. Maybe it's just to pop out the light to change the bulb, or maybe to adjust the lens when you drive with something heavy in the rear. I think that's actually the case. Does anyone know that? Let's take a look at that engine. Being a Renault from that time period, just like the Renault 5 GT Turbo, it opens up like this. It's supposed to have a wire right there that connects. Right now it's just hanging by the ground strap down there. Oh, there's a battery in it. Must be very, very old. And then there is a lot of wires. I am going to investigate what kind of equipment the police car actually had in France, because as you can see up here, something was attached to the roof, either a siren of some sort, or maybe a searchlight, I don't know, but it could be fun to put that back on. I don't know if they had any kind of sirens, these police cars. As mentioned, I do not think they were used to stop traffic that much, but I could be mistaken. France has a tendency to do stuff a little bit different than the rest of the world, so it wouldn't be hugely surprised if they were used as traffic control cars also. What I mentioned about the 2CV being a more simple edition of the same concept, this is not an air-cooled engine, it's a 4-cylinder water-cooled engine. Everything is weird, of course. It is a French car, so we got a gearbox down there at the front of the engine, then the radiator, and then the engine back there. I have not been down the rabbit hole of the Renault 4 just yet, so I don't know much about engine sizes or anything. I have a feeling that it could be an 850cc engine. It is tiny, that's for sure. But I don't know anything about power outputs and so on. I will have to investigate a bit on that. Of course, I don't even know if this engine actually runs. Maybe, because it's so tiny. Can we turn the crank just by using this? It's not turning the actual crank of the engine. But wait a second. I don't know if you can see it down there. But it is actually moving. At least a little bit. So hopefully the engine is not stuck, but we'll find out in the next video, because this is just an introduction of this car. I can't resist the temptation to just at least look into the engine. Let me get a light. Oh, the tiniest tiny valve train down there. It looks pretty clean. So, well, it's not saying much, but it's not rusty or anything like that. So I guess that's a good sign at least. Let's just check the oil dipstick also, if I can find it. It must be around this area. It is most likely looking at me laughing right now, but I just cannot see it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. It's that piece of coat hanger that sticks up right here. Yeah, we got oil on the stick, looking pretty clean also. Nice. It's always nice to see oil in an engine that has been standing. I'm not sure for how long, but I think the last MOT in 2002. So it's been a while. It could have been started after that, of course. I wonder if I can check the coolant. I need some tools for that. Yeah, so I'm not going to do that right now. It feels pretty empty though. So, but as mentioned, it's a 1986 model. I really hope to I really hope that some French people are watching this video knowing something about the police cars and can tell me if anything was different on these compared to the normal Renault 4s. I doubt it, but you never know. I also have a feeling that something is missing in this area. Not sure what, but it seems as though... Could it be a coolant reservoir that is missing? Because this strap right there really looks like something that could hold a reservoir on a French car. And this line could also be going to it, maybe? I'm not sure. Maybe there's parts in the car, I don't know. Let's take a look at that. Well, maybe not that one, because that's locked. This one is open. Oh, look at the simplicity. Lovely. Can I maybe open up the other door from inside of here somehow? Oh yeah, there we go. As mentioned, I have not owned a Renault 4 before, but I have driven one because I fixed one up for a friend some years back. And I can remember this. I just had a hard time finding it in my brain. But the handle is like this and then push down on that piece of metal in there. There is supposed to be some kind of door cards on this. It's not supposed to be this simple. But, or maybe they are in the trunk. Take a look in there. There is something back there. Gonna take a look at that later. An amazing amount of wires bundled together. This car has been messed with a lot. And then there's a piece of paper down here, glued to the bottom of the car. I love this part of looking at new cars, investigating and discovering all this stuff. This seems to be a poem. I'm gonna try to translate it because it is in Danish. There's something about it, actually. I'm gonna keep that. It belongs to this car now. Anyway, this car is simplicity itself. Way more complicated than a 2CV still, but there is not a lot of buttons and stuff to control, but there is some. And there's also something that is not original, and this, a temperature sensor, really points towards this car having some kind of temperature issues. But we'll find out about that later. Ah, funny place for a cigarette lighter. And a jack? What is that? That could be maybe something police related. It looks like a jack. A microphone jack kind of thing. And then, of course, ashtray. Also at the driver's side, of course. It's needed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the driver's side. Oh, nice sound. Wires of doom. A handbrake. I'm pretty sure that's the handbrake right there. Handbrake. The gear stick is up here. An umbrella kind of gear system like the 2CV also. Yeah, we've got a sponge down there, maybe for high beam, low beam. No, it's for the windscreen washer. And then normal pedal layout, nothing weird there. Something is normal in this car. A lot of rust holes on the floor. It's pretty bad in this side, it seems. But whoa! Take a look at this. You wouldn't want to get stung by that. It is the biggest wasp that I have ever seen. Wow, it's huge. Well, here's the tire pressure sticker. I don't know why, but I love these kinds of things. Not tire pressure stickers, but old stickers in general. Then inside of here, what do we have? We have a small flower. Oh, pretty. A little lot of warning lamps, actually more than I was expecting to see in a Renault 4. High beam, low beam, fog light, heated rear window. Can that be true? Oh yeah, there's a heated rear window. And then we got a blank. Then we got a water temperature, a choke, hazard light, oil pressure, handbrake, and battery, and of course a fuel gauge in there. 191,000 kilometers. That's a lot. And then we got, I like that kind of stuff. We got marks for where you're going to change gear. So first gear at 30, second gear at 70, third gear at 80, and fourth gear at 130 kilometers per hour. That must be the limit then. Yeah, and as you can see, we have to do some thievery action on this one to get it running, because that is not going to do anything without the key. And also it's already been attempted to be broken, so I'm going to continue down that road, because the steering wheel is locked in this position, and that's not good. I know they haven't used it for that, but just imagine having some kind of thief or someone you have arrested sitting on the back seat. They could just strangle you if they wanted. Anyway. Oh yeah. Pretty nice rear seat. Looks to be in okay condition. Back here, and the floor is not a complete big hole, but there's a lot of rust repair needed in that area as well. What about the trunk? Can we get in there? Because I would like to see what kind of spare parts is back here. Oh, this car has been in Sweden, it looks like. And it has been rust protected in Denmark. Maybe we should call them and make a complaint. No, of course a car will rust when it's old. But if it had not had any rust protection, it would have been completely gone. I'm sure of that. I think it's supposed to be pressed in, maybe turned, but it feels like it's been locked, which is a problem when you don't have the key, of course. Of course, the criminal would just be able to jump out the back if you could open it from the inside. So maybe you can't do that. Nope, that's not gonna happen. So let's just try to take out the stuff from back here. And see what we got. So of course spares are also always a good thing. This is brand new. The other stuff is used. So hopefully we'll just have to see if it's missing from the car. I doubt that a brake drum is missing, but you never know. And then the plastic cards for 3 doors. Is it on one of them? Yeah, it is. So it's complete. That's nice. And then a bag of stuff. Oh, brake liners. So maybe one of the drums is actually taken off. It could be stuck or something. A Renault paper manual Haynes in a printed edition. That could come in handy. Exhaust clamps. Wiper. There's got to be some short ones then. Yeah, wiper blades. A side mirror for not this model. It's a Volvo. Another Volvo side mirror. Some bulbs. A piece of, oh, it's a small spring in Renault packing. A gasket, more bulbs. I'm getting the feeling that this car got some electrical problems with all these bulbs. These are also for Volvo, original Volvo spare parts. These are Oh, it's actually a barrel. The key thingy. Is it called a barrel? I think it is. A locking barrel. But still there's no key, but maybe if it's the same number as the one in the car, then I can copy that from the number maybe. There's a float for a carb. Worrying. But no key. What a shame. That would have been so nice to find in the back. But anyway, there's stuff. There's stuff in here. I've been trying to find the starting handle, but I haven't found it because it could be fun to just try to turn the engine with that. But it doesn't seem to be here anywhere. But what I would like to do as the last thing in this video is to jack it up a bit and take a look underneath from what we can see out here. Just to get a sense of the amount of rust underneath. And just for the safety concern, I'm not going to go underneath the car because there's no axle stands or anything. So no part of me is going underneath. It's just the camera that is going to film. I'm looking forward to putting this car on the lift because there's things that is surprising me. Take a look at that. I don't know if I can try to point it out. I'm not going to go underneath the car, so it will just be pointing in the air right here. That rod goes into the lower wishbone, I'm going to call it, and all the way up here into a box right there. And I'm pretty sure that's the suspension. I think it's a torsion bar set up. And then you have a shock absorber in there. That's done differently. But one thing I do know about the Renault 4, and let's check if that's actually true, because apparently the wheelbase is different from one side to the other on a Renault 4. So I'm just going to measure from the back of the door, of the front door, to the middle of the wheel. It's reading 92 centimeters on this side. Let's check on the other one. On the other one, it is measuring 96.5. And I know this is not precise measuring at all, but the wheelbase is different on this side comparing to the other side because of the rear axle or setup, the suspension setup. It is a torsion bar system that because of the design makes it impossible to have the wheels at the same position, so they have to be next to each other, the torsion bars. Therefore the wheelbase is not the same on one side comparing it to the other, and that's really a weird thing to do in my opinion. Anyway, this video was just an introduction to this project. Next video will be trying to start it up, because I've mentioned a million times, I got a lot more projects on their way and I need them all to be running so I can put them in storage and start fixing up the cars. And yeah, I am going to attempt to stop buying more projects when the last of them arrive and then start fixing the stuff. But seriously, it's really saying no to something that you get offered for free like this. It's just really up my alley, this kind of car. So it's perfect, and hopefully I can save it. I really hope I can save it. And lucky for me, I don't have a huge standard in the restoration part of things when it comes to fixing everything and painting all the stuff and making everything perfect. I just want them to be good enough for the road so they can have another life before they're being scrapped, or maybe the next owner will do the rest of the stuff. I just want them to run, drive, brake, have light that's working and all that, so it's safe to use. The rest of it is just cosmetic stuff in my opinion. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.